right here, a little further down, was flooding over and changing course.
Okay.
We was losing. The Mississippi River was going to cut back where it was millions of years ago, but it ended up back through that Fort Barry, that southern end of the Chapala. Yeah, it would have hit the Tesh area. Yeah. Down Washington and all the floods on there. It was just totally changing over from the spillover. They call this three rivers because you got the Red River coming in from Ellick, Mississippi over here, and she becomes the Chapala River.
Okay.
Well, actually the Red hits into it over here. What they did, they had a 12-foot levee running alongside the Chapala, which 200 years ago, there was no Chapala River when this was settled. They'd cross horseback or what have you. It had already cut to where it was a river. They had built, I'd say at the turn of the century, they had built a 12-foot levee to keep the water from flooding over out of the Chapala in high water inside the West Chapala floodway. Now, this is the beginning of the West Chapala floodway. On the opposite side of the Chapala is the East Chapala floodway, the Morganza and what have you. They have control gates to where they can let in the flood waters if the Mississippi River gets too high. What happens is, they came in after the flood of 29. We was flooded all the way down to Washington. This water had backed up from the Mississippi River. They came in and put a ring levee following the Chapala River on down to Henderson on this side. They put another ring levee in that cuts by Palmetto, making the West Chapala floodway. Now I live in the Palmetto area, but I live in the West Chapala floodway, some 30 miles straight down.
Okay.
This way.
So you're inside the levee?
I'm inside the two levees.
Okay.
That's the floodway. If ever they got to open up, we'll get it.
Yeah.
We own our land, but they still can flood us. But on the east side, they open up in Morganza because there's less population and it's wooded and what have you. That's where they do have to open the gates to open the Morganza floodway when the Mississippi River really gets high. In 73, it got real high. It was sitting up to the right here. That open field, I fished because there's another set of gates out there. The water that just was seeping was backed up in there. There was water coming out. Over here, she was fixing to come over. They actually built up an extra couple of foot right here.
Right before the flood?
After the flood. They raised this up. There was a gravel road. Now we got paved road. But all of this here is because the Mississippi River water was coming over, flooding over. And we got the rain coming in over here. That was already water that was being carried down. But the Chapala itself, the Mississippi River, went through down to Baton Rouge. And at one time, there was Old River and all of this. The Mississippi had changed course before that also, leaving a lot of lakes. I'm trying to cut as short as I can. They built the control structures here to be able to control the amount of water, stop the flood water when it comes up high.
Okay.
Let only so much water through these gates right here. Another gate up there that's only up Washington, and the other right here that's only some wood gates for real flood. That these gates don't have it, they're opening up some more if they ever flood the West Chapala flood. As far as for the other gates they got, that's for that hydro plant. Put it in.
The hydro plant?
That's a hydro plant. Jacob was talking about around 73 back then. He was young, younger than me. I mean, I was young too. They had mats of logs over here. We walk on the mats of logs. Between the logs. I mean, this normally got a very rapid flow. Evidently, the Mississippi must be low also for them not to be running in the water down.
So in the spring, when the snows melt up north, that's when the
As your
Mississippi gets
Mississippi
high?
comes up, they're letting the water down, and
Okay.
this goes to Morganza. And it's controlled, and the control is right here.
Now, I've heard stories that there's a risk that someday the control structure could fail, and if
Yes.
it did, then the Mississippi changes
I've
course.
seen them
Actually,
pull
this one
in
was
barge
built-
after
this-
barge
this
after
one was
barge.
built after the first one. This is the second. This is
Okay.
the auxiliary. The first one was built before, I don't know how many years.
Oh yeah, they had
And that
was gone.
that was the one that was gonna go, the first one. I mean, they had a lot of trouble with it, and it back in the 70s when what Larry is talking about, all the water and everything.
No, with this one was here in the 70s.
Yeah, but they built this one because of that, right?
No.
This was done in 70s.
No, they did have some gates, like that old wooden gates. Around the 50s is when they put this one in. This is at the same time they built the Morganza floodway and what have you. They had a 12-foot levee going down, controlled by some halfway gates like this here, that they could open if they had to. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
You know, it would flood over. And I want to say the flood was in 29.
29 or 20, it was 27 or 29.
Yeah,
The big
around
flood,
the
yeah,
depression.
yeah.
And then we had Huey Long up in around that time, and they had construction started up, building all of this up.
It took forever, you know.
Yeah. I want to say it was a project, this whole thing, for at least to complete 15, 20 years. You know,
Well, do you think, should the government be doing something to strengthen it? The big one up at the old.
Let me answer you this way. Man has destroyed himself, and he's destroying it again. We have up north, and we got climatic changes brought on by man himself too, and all of this. We have opened up farmlands, drainage. Rainfall comes down. It's not held back in Ohio or Missouri or whatever, wherever the Mississippi takes her. She's coming down. And when she gets here, she bottlenecks and she backs up. To fix the problem, you can't fix it at the bottom. You gotta start at the top.
If they wouldn't have built this, it wouldn't be any New Orleans, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole thing.
Now, where we lose it,
If
I
a
don't
river-
think man can control.
He's not supposed to, you know. I mean, it's
Oh,
supposed
yeah.
to go where I mean, nature has its own way of doing things, and the more you try to deal with it, it's a losing battle. You're always running behind, you know. Same thing as all
Just like building homes, fancy homes on barrier islands, right? I mean,
exactly.
it's not meant to be.
It's not meant to be.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't mess with nature too
Yeah.
much.
And y'all are from where?
Well, we live in Aleck, but we're from Pennsylvania. We just moved down from Philadelphia in May, and this has been I've read about this, and this is my first time here, and I just have a passion to learn about it. And
If you have a passion to learn about Louisiana waterways and some of the Louisiana history per se, initially we had 3 port cities.